Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to some more StarCraft 2. Today I got another live game for you that I am playing right about right now. I'm actually commentating this one at the exact same time as I am playing it, and this time around it is going to be a Terran versus Terran. So I'm gonna have to go ahead here, make sure we start the depot up on the high ground, because one of the things I've noticed from losing a couple of matches, in particular on Arena, is that Cyclone openers on this map are actually relatively powerful. You can get into your opponent's main base with ease with it, and obviously we gotta try and prevent that from happening. So the very first thing we did do right there is make sure that we are going to be walling off. Now, I'm thinking about playing off what I think a standard Terran game, okay? And like I mentioned multiple times in the past already, I don't actually know exactly what like standard Terran player is. We're currently somewhere around top rank 25 on this account right now. I do have about 200 bonus pool left, and that is obviously going to be in Master League. So you can definitely notice that we are on the right track. It just means that I still have to figure out exactly what these standard and powerful build orders are to go for. Now we are gonna have to make sure we shoo away that bastard. Don't kill me. Stop killing me. I don't appreciate that. But anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and probably focus on a composition that's around medic or medevacs, around siege tanks, as well as around marines. Obviously, like the most standard of standard compositions in Terran versus Terran. We're gonna be opening up though, just real quick here, with some Reaper aggression. Reapers are very powerful in this, actually no, we're gonna wait a second with that. Reapers are very powerful in this matchup, just because early game you can completely control, in particular like this area in the middle part of the map, if you get the very first grenade off properly on the Reaper. So we are gonna have to go ahead and put down a other barracks here, or like another depot right here as well. And I'm gonna be queuing up a SCV first, and then we'll be getting depot next. So command center already going down right now, making sure we obviously get that nice little economy lead, hopefully. It kind of depends on what exactly my opponent has been going for. Not seeing a Reaper yet. Normally they would meet in the middle if we would do the exact same build order. So, you know, we'll just have to like poke up here, I guess. Oh, he's actually gone for a very quick factory opener. Interesting. Alright, so that means we got control of the middle part of the map with relative ease. I'll just be waiting a second here for my second barracks unit, or my second Reaper right now, to arrive as well. What we'll do is saturate the second gas immediately, and then actually start up a tech lab on this thing so we can start pumping out our own siege tanks. Gonna be really important because my opponent is gonna try and obviously focus our units down immediately, and because he's gonna get some really quick siege tank play, we may have to like go ahead and, you know, stop that from happening. So we're actually gonna try and harass here for a little while. Okay. Well, actually, I gotta be careful. Alright. So far, so good, though. I can just simply go ahead, land this dude over, probably over there. Start up a siege tank very shortly, but I'm also gonna be starting up the starport here, just because we are gonna need one. Oh god, no! Don't die! So close, so close. Alright, here we go. First siege tank is gonna be flying across the map very shortly, because we are gonna get a medevac with this as well. And we managed to get a nice little lead there, actually. That actually adds up really quickly. We can go ahead and like start up some more stuff. I'm gonna be getting the combat shield here, as well as 2 more barracks. And we're obviously gonna try and get some medevacs going too. So if you plan on getting early game, you know, damage done with those units that he made, he's not really gonna be able to do so for another little while. That's pretty cool for us. Gotta make sure that I don't mess up my hotkeys here, though. Alright. First siege tank is going to be out. Gotta try and create another one as soon as we possibly can. Also, we'll need to start... He went for a Thor? Interesting. Also, I'm gonna have to start like a bunch more units and a bunch of depots, just to make sure we get that, you know, advantage. Siege tanks is out, though, so this should be just fine. First medevac is out as well, so we're gonna start getting some extra gas right now, and probably queue up a second medevac very shortly, but first I'm gonna prioritize +1 attack. So my opponent apparently has decided that he wants to go for this right here, which is kind of fascinating, really. We're gonna simply just try and, you know, protect this for the life of us, and, well, for the moment we are doing quite well here. He's not really getting a whole lot of value out of this. We got a second siege tank joining in. Gotta get another one going as soon as we can. And my opponent just decides to leave the game. What? Alright then, so let's try and figure out exactly what happened there. I'll be going over my Terran versus Terran build order in just a little bit as well, and while it's not 100% optimized, I'm gonna try and explain it to you, so hopefully you can also, you know, if you're having trouble Terran versus Terran, you can also stop losing against these type of build orders. So my opponent went for a really quick second gas geyser before even having the barracks done. He obviously is going to saturate that immediately and then adds on a factory before even going for the orbital command. So for some reason, he decides to skip out the orbital command here for at least a little while. Now you got to keep in mind, my opponent here, I just actually checked, my opponent right here is actually like top 10 masters. Which is surprising because the build he was doing was kind of wonky. So he decides to add on the armory here immediately, and I do a substantial amount of damage here early on. Like, it may not seem like a lot, but killing that first marine as well as two more SCVs there actually adds on super quickly. At this point, we do also have that economy advantage, which is quite nice. Now, after killing those couple of units that he made, apparently that immediately triggered my opponent to go for an all-in, and just with the build that we went for, we had a very easy time holding onto it. And yeah, like once the second siege tank joined, there really wasn't a single way my opponent could really get anything out of this. And obviously, like, he could definitely just sit back and try to macro his way out of here, but I don't think it really worked out then. Alright, so as you may be aware, the way I currently am learning the new races, or the new for me races, Terran and Protoss in StarCraft 2, is by losing, okay? Like I very briefly pointed out, sometimes there's Cyclone aggression early on, that is the reason why I'm walling off. Sometimes there is like a Cloak Banshee coming in early, that is the reason why I'm going for, you know, the timing on that engineering bay. And sometimes you're gonna just have to figure out what your opponent is going for, and you need to go for like a Reaper and a bunch of aggression. So the build that I'm gonna try and explain here is definitely by no means the best version of the build, but hopefully it will at the very least like teach you a little bit of something about the reasoning behind certain moves, and maybe something you can also implement in your own games as well. So in this particular case, I went for the most standard of standard builds here. This is going to be a supply depot into an immediate barracks into an immediate refinery as well. And the timing on this refinery basically makes it so that as soon as I can, I'm gonna be able to start up my very first Reaper. Now that Reaper serves two purposes. First off, it allows me to start scouting around. This is the primary thing it can do, and secondly, it can kill things. It can take map control and therefore scout about. That is the primary reason why I want to get it. So that is why I play super careful early on with that Reaper, because I don't really want to be losing it. Now, I found that since most people are opening up Reapers, going for 2 Reapers seems to just make sense, because 2 is better than 1, and that means you can take map control early on, right? That's at least the reasoning behind it. I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but that's what I've been doing. Now, while you're waiting for the barracks to finish up, you want to queue up that Reaper immediately. You want to finish up your next SCV, immediately add on that orbital command. Then you want to be adding in the next depot first, and then add on the Vespian Geyser as well. So first off the depot here, or actually first off the command center, then the depot, and then the refinery. So basically it's like a very like standard Zerg versus Terran build order here as well. So there we go. Gonna be adding on that second depot here as well to make sure that we complete that wall off. Already got the second you know, Reaper queued up, and we also start up this Vespian Geyser next. So I'm actually a little slow on that. Turns out I actually queued up one of my SCVs too many there. So you can see, like, there's definitely some room for improvement. So this right here is something that everyone should be able to execute with relative ease. This is really, really straightforward and nothing really new. Next up, there seems to be a little bit of a variation. As you can see in this particular case, my opponent got the second refinery much sooner. I would recommend just getting it at this timing. So next up, what we're going to try and do is get this base mining as soon as possible so we can get a mule out of it very fast. Now, mules are very good because basically one mule will nearly pay for that entire command center. So as long as you get that, you should be fine. Next things I'm gonna try and do is add on the factory here, and then immediately add a tech lab as well on the barracks as soon as I can. So once the second Reaper finishes up, I lift up this barracks. As you can see, once again, a bit of a delay here. I lift up that barracks and I add on the tech lab. Now the tech lab right here is meant to go on the factory so we can switch those two over. At the same time, that refinery finished up, and I'm already having the SCVs in that refinery to start mining 6 in gas. So really quick, I'm gonna be adding on the orbital command as soon as I realize it as well. Now you gotta keep in mind, while this is all going on, I'm trying to scout about with my Reapers to figure out exactly what the Terran player is going for, and I recognize, okay, there's like a tech lab on that factory much sooner. What I didn't realize, what I assumed here, what was gonna happen, by the way, is my opponent going for like medevac drops out of a single siege tank, because I saw such a quick factory. I also did see this barracks right here finishing up the depot, or the reactor, but I didn't really assume that that was gonna be that big of an issue. I could have probably run in and scouted about the armory. Don't think I really needed to, because it seems to be that most of the time this is going to be safe. Now, for that very reason, in this particular case, I decided not to add on the missile turret very quickly. So one of the builds you can also see quite a lot is people, for example, going for some really quick benchy play with cloak, for example. But in this particular case, since I saw that quick factory with the attachment with the tech lab on it, it seemed very unlikely that he was going to go both for like cloak benchy as well as like siege tanks, because I don't think there's a single way you could support it, and the only way you're really going to be getting anything out of a siege tank is with a medevac right now. So that is the reason why I'm not adding on the missile turret in the mineral line immediately. But anyways, in the meantime, I'm just simply trying to make sure that I get a depot going on the barracks as well. And the reason for that depot is to ensure that I can immediately start up Stimpack. Stimpack is the more important upgrade from the two if you know, decide that you want to go for either combat shield or Stimpack. I would go combat shield or Stimpack first. Then I add on the barracks or the tech lab on the factory, and we start up the siege tank. At the same time, I'm gonna start landing the command center in my natural, and I'm queuing up the starport here. Now, obviously at this point, I don't really need to worry very much about adding on any more depots. In Heart of the Swarm, this worked a little bit differently, but orbital commands actually give you a lot of supply. Like right now, you can see I'm actually 34 out of 46 supply. That means I don't really need to do very much for another little while. And what I'm adding on instead, with the resources that I got left over, is 3 more barracks. This seems to be a good setup, okay? So what we got going on right here seems to be a really good setup. So 1 starport without an attachment, so without a reactor or like a tech lab on it. Then a single factory constantly producing a lot of those siege tanks. Then add on 2 more barracks afterwards. So this setup right here, I think I executed like 99% of my Terran versus Terrans, and that also add on a bunker. Now the bunker is your saving grace if you know that your opponent didn't go for any quick command center. So if you scout about and you see, hey, with the Reapers, that there's not going to be a command center down, you immediately do want to add on a bunker as soon as possible as well. So once again, to recap, depot into barracks, into a gas geyser. So that's the most important setup right there. As a follow-up, you want to be getting the orbital command, another command center as well, just to make sure that you get that extra income, then another depot, and then the second gas geyser as well. As a follow-up, you want to be getting, after the 2 Reapers, the factory as soon as you possibly can. Switch over to the tech lab that you made on the barracks, then add on the starport as soon as the factory finishes up. So with the same SCV, I added on that starport as well. And then whenever you have the money to, start up the tech lab as well on that second, so that's the second tech lab right here. Start up that tech lab right here on the barracks. Add on that Stimpack, and then whenever you have the money for it, make sure you add on that orbital command, land that to the natural, and then add on more barracks. So it's a little bit more complicated, but if you practice this in a custom game, it is pretty straightforward. The basic idea and the basic goal of it is to get a factory with a tech lab, to get a barracks with a tech lab as well, to get a starport, and then 2 more barracks without any attachments on them. You can get those later on, but just to start building up that army. And at this point, I add on the bunker just to ensure that I get at least, you know, sufficient amounts of defense while my opponent could potentially be moving out. Now in this particular case, it's one of the weirdest builds that I've ever seen from a Terran player in my life. I'm not sure what to do. That bunker actually does, you know, end up gaining me the victory, and we are okay. As far as the timing on the engineering bay goes, I've been told that apparently a good timing to get it is right when you actually start up mining the natural. So that's exactly what I've been doing, and at that time I'll also add on another refinery here, while we are obviously double producing those SCVs. So one thing to note about this timing on the engineering bay, this is not set in stone. None of it is set in stone. But if I would have, for example, seen my opponent go for like a quick command center here, as well as like, you know, him producing something out of this, I think I probably would have added on a a missile turret much sooner, just to make sure that I can defend against potential Banshee aggression. But in this particular case, it seemed a little bit silly to assume that that was going to be the case. And, you know, just because he won't be able to really afford any of that. And at the same time, I had a lot of Marines building that would be able to deal with any kind of Banshee aggression either way. So I hope this video at the very least taught you something about the Terran versus Terran build order that I'm currently using. Like I said, once again, I don't know if this is the ideal build, and I don't know if it's the most powerful build, but I do know that it works really well up to High Master League right now. So if you have any questions, let me know down below. I would love to answer them. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button as well. I want to thank you all for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!